Littlefinger is such a pathetic incel that even 15 years after being dumped by Catelyn Stark, he's continuing to be hung up on it and now making it everyone's problem. Though even that is giving him too much credit. She was never into you, bro. Now, while Aidan Gillen is a phenomenal actor, and I actually really like his Littlefinger performance, I do think it's very interesting because I do think that Littlefinger kind of changes in a very fundamental way from book to screen, and George R. R. Martin has specifically talked about this. The biggest fundamental difference, I think, between the Littlefinger of the books versus the Littlefinger of the TV show is the Littlefinger of the TV show is so obvious, like a mustachio twirling villain, that just isn't really the case with the book version. There's a really funny interview clip of George R. R. Martin talking about the difference between Littlefinger, in the show versus in the book. And he specifically mentions that the Littlefinger of the show, no one seemingly trusts him. Like, everyone is always like, going to Littlefinger for help, but then very quickly like acknowledging that like, ooh, but I don't know what he's really trying to do. Oh, he's up to something. I just know it. But in the books, that's not really the case, because the Littlefinger of the books, the way he's able to scheme, the way he's able to amass power is because no one suspects him of stuff. Like, yes, they notice how he's able to like get crazy stuff done, he hears things and all that, but like everyone dismisses him. Everyone is so quick to dismiss him because he's Littlefinger. He's this guy with no real like powerful title, no real like crazy lands or anything, and so everyone's like, okay, yeah, he'll get stuff done, and we keep him around because he's useful. And it's that non-threatening nature that allows Petyr Baelish, Littlefinger, to amass all of these things, to amass the wealth, to amass the influence, because he is just quietly working everyone, and most people don't realize it until it's too late, or as he kind of says in the book, they realize it, but they really want like the thing that he's offering them to be like true and worth it, and not to have all these other strings attached to it, so they just go along with it for him. And at this point, lots of people are now caught up in this web. So while people might be weary of him, no one's like stopping their use of him. They still like having him around because he's able to get like stuff done, and that's very helpful. So he's like that friend who's like maybe like overstayed their welcome, but something about them like stops you from ever like fully like pushing them away. Maybe they pay for the bill at dinner, maybe they bring the best drinks to the party, whatever the case may be. Like, they're just like helpful enough that you're like, okay, yeah, I don't love them, but we'll keep them around. I realize that's like a cruel thing to say, but again, in the context of this book, that's Littlefinger. And so the mustachio like twirling villain of the show, while super fun, is like a little on the nose. I mean, like Aidan Glenn's like even voice, his very slow way of talking, and yes, seats and chaos is a ladder. It's fun. It's a really fun scene. Do not get me wrong. I love that scene, but it like, okay, I think we're just going in a slightly different direction. Not necessarily bad, because again, I really like the show version of Littlefinger. It's interesting because like that's not the point. The point is like you don't suspect this guy, whereas Aidan Gillen is just like standing in a corner going like, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy right there. And I think it's this persona that eventually makes Littlefinger's death in the show kind of weird, especially like that last whole arc of his where he's like trying to turn Sansa and Arya against each other. The whole time you're like looking at them being like, okay, like, ladies, you're not falling for this. Like, I mean, I know the writers are telling you you're falling for this, but like, these characters wouldn't fall for this. Look at the man. Look at him in the corner, like whispering in everyone's ear. Like, it's so obvious on the show that like this guy is bad and trying to like pit you against each other. And so I think that in the books, that is not going to be Littlefinger's like general arc, and that's certainly not going to be the way he dies. I do think he'll die, and it's probably going to be bloody and probably have to do with Sansa like ordering it, but like not in this weird like, ooh, he said she said, because where we leave off in the books, Littlefinger never does the weird Sansa and Ramsay storyline. Sansa never marries Ramsay. She stays in the Vale with Littlefinger. So Littlefinger goes, marries Lysa, and Sansa is pretending to be his bastard daughter, Elaine. There might be spoilers here. I don't know. Anyway. But anyway, it starts off going in a similar way to how it does in the show. Like, eventually, Littlefinger, like, pushes Lysa out the moon door because she's, going a little loopy-doo. And then he becomes Lord Protector of the Vale. And it's there that they stay, okay? They don't just run off to Winterfell for reasons that are never really, like, super clear in the show. But Littlefinger stays in the Vale and is, like, consolidating power. Because that's his thing. He started off with nothing. He didn't have rich lands. He didn't have, like, a great title. So he is, like, slowly giving himself all of these these things through these strategic moves, marrying Lysa, keeping Sansa close, etc. And while he's in the Vale, like consolidating powers, like slowly moving the families to like get behind him and in line, because initially they're not. They want him gone. They do not like him. They do not trust him because he has like quickly sprung up from nothing to being like first Lysa's husband and then Lord Protector of the Vale overall. And notice that distrust doesn't exist until he like really like amasses like almost too much power too quickly, and that doesn't happen until like book 3. But anyway, as he's doing that, as he's like, you know, moving all these pieces, Sansa is right there by him learning. And that's kind of what he's trying to do for her. He is like teaching her how to be like him again. And it's like in a weird, creepy, groomy way. But Sansa, as she does, is watching, listening, and learning and starting to apply it. And I know people like to say that, like, ooh, Sansa learned the game from Cersei, but I don't think that's quite right. I do think that Sansa did learn things from Cersei, but she kind of learned, like, what not to do. And she's learning what to do from Littlefinger. And it's that, like, potent combination that is what I think will eventually make her, like, a dangerous and, like, legitimate player in the game. And it's also going to be that which will be eventually Littlefinger's downfall, in my opinion. Because Littlefinger's whole thing is he's just trying to give himself everything he ever wanted. You know, he wants to eventually be king, he wants to eventually like have all the riches, and he wants to have a girl that looks like a Tully. And since he can't have Catelyn anymore, here we got Sansa. But if Sansa is using her basically superpower to learn how to play the game as smartly as she is, and she is starting to get there, I think at one point, sooner or later, Littlefinger is going to make a move that she does not like. I don't think it'll have anything to do with Arya. I think she's on a different path. But he's going to like try to push something. He's going to try to use her in some way. And she, at that point, will have amassed enough power that she can make her own counter move. And that's probably when we're going to lose him. But hey, one less incel in the world. I'm not complaining. Okay, goodbye.